Hey, Scolio, playing Dominions 4. We're on turn 2. It is spring, which is great for Bomani. He loves the spring. I want to go over just real quick what we're looking at on this screen. So, one turn has passed. We now see some of the units that are around us. To the south of us, we have about 40 enemy units, mainly militia, archers, and heavy infantry. So think of this as we have no people here. We only have like a vague idea of what's in there. So this number and these people could be pretty far off. Now, if we were to get somebody like, say, Hernandez to go into an area, he can scout it out and get a much better idea of what's in there. In this area, more likely there's 30 enemy units, mainly militia and light infantry. This would be an easy place to take over. And the only way to get more accurate information is to cast magic and actually look into an area and see exactly what's there. Or attack it, and then you'll know exactly what's there. Some other things here, just important information. We can see the population of Satis, 30,000 lizardmen in this area. This is our income. Our income from this area is 401 gold or treasury. Right now we have 398 to be used, and our upkeep of all our units is 33 per, I think it's per month. Yeah, upkeep cost per month. You can see it at the bottom there as a tooltip. So every month we'll be paying that upkeep, and that's how much we're getting. Supplies, this is basically food in the area. If supply usage ever goes above the supplies in an area, people start to starve to death, and that's not good. So it's a reason not to get armies too big unless you have some way to feed them. Unrest in the area, pretty simple. People who are, brigands and riots, and you don't want that getting too high. And resources are used. They come back every turn. They're kind of like, they're resources. They're people that we have available to get things done, and the material we have to get things done. And all of this income and supplies comes from what we pull from taxes and from different areas. A castle gives out like an administration bonus. So anything directly around us, think of it as we have tax collectors in this town, and they'll go out and make sure that we get as much as possible. So it's good to have forts for things like that, to hit as many areas as possible. And I think that's it. You see our gems. We can move on. Okay. First off, Hernandez, continue moving to the west and find out what the monkeys are up to. And back home, Bomani, with his army of militiamen, he can go and start an attack. Oh, another thing I didn't look at was these little, the thrones. And that's what the pixel is. These are the thrones that I need to win. I need 3 of them. And let's take a look at where they are. There's one in the water. That's not good. But there's only one in the water. So chances are nobody will ever get to that throne, and that's fine. Well, besides the mermen, but they're kind of a null factor. The other 2 thrones are closer to the monkeys than us. This one's not a too bad one, though. And this one being right next to them. We got a decent one right next to him. This one just a little bit closer to us, but one of the good things is there's this strong defense force of independents here controlling this throne, and this is their main way to getting into our lands, the monkey people. As long as we control one of these areas to the side of the river, the land will be too hot for them to cross the river. If the land ever got really cold, the river could freeze over, and then they'd be able to walk across it. And that's what this blue line is saying. But as long as we control this and our dominion is strong, they should never be able to cross that, and they'll be forced to go across the bridge. They'll be forced to take this throne. Okay. I've explained that. We've seen where all the thrones are, so let's go back to recruiting. So our Lizard King, he'll come out this turn. The hourglass is gone. He's almost here. We'll just keep getting our our slave units up and trained. And then our army setup, there's nothing else to actually look at. So we'll take Bomani, and we're going to move him. It's the best way to go. So our throne's here. Back here, we're seeing 20 enemy units, mainly heavy infantry and heavy cavalries. Now those are pretty tough units. Maybe it would be better to start to the south here. Militia, archers, and heavy infantry are not that tough. I think I'll do that. We'll go south first. I want to take these territories as quick as possible, especially the ones adjacent to us, because they're going to provide the most benefit early on. And is that it? We can't mess with research, though I could have done it last turn. I should have used him to research. I'm actually put our logistics commander to patrolling the province too. He'll sort out any brigands or spies that we have in the area and root them out. Though we won't have much here in the early game, but it's better than him just sitting around doing nothing. Okay, and with that, I think we're done with this turn. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so this is our it's the screen that tells you everything that happened that turn. And there was a battle in Remesia. This is where we sent our Bomani, our god. We're going to see how he did in this fight. So, real quick, looking at these guys, I can get nice and close. So there's Bomani, there's our infantry, and they'll kind of move across this battlefield, and here's our enemy. So some archers, you see they've already started firing arrows at us. I paused the game. These are kind of deadly to us because, once again, we don't do very good against archer. They got a couple of commanders that are leading their troops and some basic militia. These are actually pretty easy to take out, but more armored heavy infantry are a little more dangerous. I think our god makes the big difference in this fight. They do not have a gigantic cobra on their team, so that gives us an edge. Let's go ahead and hit play and see how things go. So there goes the arrows. It looks like they didn't hit anybody, which was great. This one, somebody took 10 damage, and that's where the archers get dangerous. Now they're attacking us, and we're stabbing them back. And here comes Bomani. He's going to eat a couple. Nope. And right now, these militia, they saw a gigantic snake and a couple people die, and they said, nope, screw this. The morale has dropped low enough that they're running away. They want nothing else to do with this giant cobra and the lizardmen. Now we're making our way in, take out these annoying pest of archers. A nice snack. Their armies are routed. We're cleaning them up. And there we go, we'll win the battle. We had 5 light infantry died, but other than that, not much. The light infantry, not that important. Though it does suck to lose any type of troop this early in the game. But that's fine. The enemy lost everything, so it could have been worse. And we now own this province, Remesia. This is going to give us extra income and extra resources for our entire army. And one thing I can do is I can set up a defense, a natural defense in this area. This is raising a militia force for the province. And these are kind of units that I don't have to pay for to constantly keep up. So there'll be a commander, one of my commanders, and he's going to lead a couple archers, a couple heavy infantry, and a couple light infantry. I'm not giving them much, just a couple gold to work with. But that's going to be enough to keep it from getting taken over by anything, really. Heck, a squirrel could take it if you had nobody defending it. So we're going to take Bomani, move him up to the next one. He's going to kind of go around and get as much as he can before his army kind of dwindles and he has to return back home. Hernandez, you keep going west, And then back home, oh, here we go. We've got our prophet, Sarapui, the lizard king. He's at 3, and okay, so what we're going to do is rename him. He's going to be our prophet. So Professor, how about Gojira? Professor Gojira. That's really going to be prophet. And we're going to make him become prophet. So this is meaning he's donning the ceremonial robes and getting ready to take the rites to devote himself to our god Bomani. And he'll spread our love and command our armies. Okay. And then recruit units. We want lots of these slaves. And then we want people to lead the slaves. So we're going to just start making taskmasters. I put repeat recruitment on because I want probably at least 3 of these. So each turn, at least for the next 3 turns, it's just going to automatically queue that up. And we'll keep getting the slaves that we need. We'll put that on repeat as well. Just in case I ever forget to enter this screen, we'll at least get something out of it. Army setup, well, we've got our slaves, but nobody really good to command them right now. So I think we'll have, well, I think that's it, actually. Nothing else really to do this turn. So we'll end turn. Okay. Oh, wow. A proclamation from Satis. Prophet Gojira, the Lizard King, shall hereby be known as the Prophet of Bomani. And we're going to see the same thing. Usually, you know, each of these different cities, they'll claim like their first people that they can get their hands on as a prophet, but they all waited to get a better unit like I did, which is kind of interesting. So Damati, the Bandar commander, the world's most beloved hero, shall hereby be known as the prophet of Astaratha. So these are the monkey people. They made Damati their prophet, and Astaratha is their pretender god, you know, the fake. Not really a god. From Atlantis, Yahalu, the consort, shall hereby be known as the prophet of, I guess that's Sirnak. So that is their pretender god. Now, we had a battle in Utenshire. So let's see how that went. Hopefully no big losses. Okay, looking at it real quick. Kind of like the last battle, but even easier. They have less heavy infantry and less archers, so I don't expect this to be very hard. We might lose a person or two. Oh, wow. Okay, so our units decided they didn't like having javelins flung in their faces, and they're fleeing. Their morale faltered. Luckily, we've still got Bomani, and I think it is still spring, so he's pretty strong by himself. Looking at this real quick, defense skill is like his chance. Because he's so big, he has a hard time like dodging sword attacks or arrows, but his protection at 19, even if they do hit him, chances are they're not going to do much damage to him. And the same kind of principle applies to attack skill. That's his chance to actually hit somebody and how much damage he'll do when he hits. Magic resistance, that's pretty self-explanatory. And fatigue is really only a big factor in very heavily armored troops or mages, more importantly. You got his movement, his morale. He'll probably never falter. His fear effect may get these guys to rout, but we'll see how he does. He's going to be on his own. They are doing damage to him. That's the green text was the poison effect from him. And he is healing 18 every turn that he does take damage, and they're running. So Bomani was having none of it, and was able to win that battle basically by himself. So how did we do? We lost a city guard, we lost 5 light infantry, and that was enough to make them run away. And we killed all of them and gained Uttenshire for ourselves. So when units flee the battlefield, they have a tendency to run to the closest friendly provinces. So we can see down here, this little lizard man, he ran so hard, or him and his 3 other buddies ran so hard that they ended up in this province. And they're slowly costing me money, 8 gold per year each one. Or I think this guy's a little cheaper. No, they're costing money and they're not doing anything good for me. If this place is attacked, they'd help defend it, but I actually have to bring Bomani back here if I wanted to pick them up. And at this point, I probably do want to pick up everything I can, because I don't see us going on to attack anything else until we have a better army. So I'm going to move him back, collect these, move back into here, and we'll attack this probably in a turn or two. Alright, let's look at recruiting. So, we're still getting our slave units. And you can see we're getting a lot more resources and gold, which means more people. And it's because we've collected these additional provinces. So I'm going to set this up. I want the taskmaster, the next taskmaster, and then a shaman. That's kind of the order I'm going with here. Okay. Oh, and we do have our first taskmaster, so let's look at him. Now this is going to be Sergeant, I don't know, Sergeant Tacos, leader of our first line of slaves, and we should have a pretty decent unit to give to him. So here we go. 28 of 40. He still doesn't have a full squad of units. And right here we see these guys, they came, when they fled from here, they fled to our main capital. So really they were a little smarter running back home as opposed to down in these forests. But we'll pick them up eventually. Okay, I think we're just going to end this turn not attacking anybody. But we mustn't forget Hernandez. He needs to continue exploring. So far, we still haven't seen the monkeys. We're kind of having a rough start by having that hard fight right here. Oh, let's not forget the defense. Something basic at least. In these early games, you don't tend to run into things that take your territory right off the bat. So a small defense is more than enough. I guess that's it. We're just in the turn. Ooh, there's a battle in Batagne. So what this is our scout, Hernandez. He moved into this province of Batagne. And just so happens that the monkeys, Bandar Log, were attacking the independents there. So he got to watch this battle, and we're going to get to see what he saw. So this is our spy in action. And the good thing about this is we get to see what our enemy is using. So, is this the province defense? I think that this is a mercenary unit. Rolf Magnus, the captain, and his crossbowmen have been employed by the monkey people. These are the hairless ape variants. And they are fighting their small province defense, shooting their crossbows. So we'll back up a bit and speed this up a little. It's going to be an archer battle. Crossbowmen are pretty decent, but when they get in a close range, I don't know, he'll probably win this. But it could go either way, especially now that they've engaged in melee. Oh, no, they ran away. And now they're just taking a pelting from behind. Ooh. Yeah, didn't go too well. Probably should have just kept fighting. Well, those three gotta live to see another day. But, okay, so Bandar Log was able to take this province. And if we look over there now, we'll see. Oh yeah, our Hernandez is sitting in this area, and he can see around him. This is their capital. You can see the area they just took, and they own 2 places below. They're spreading pretty fast. They've got at least 3. They could have more in the back here. We know they don't have these. So they're at least even with us or better. Good to know. So far, we see these black candles. This is enemy province, and this is coming from the Atlantis people. They're spreading their dominion. It's an enemy dominion, not. They don't particularly own this one. We don't know that. We can see. Well, we can't see the dominion from over here. And you can see our dominion has been spreading thanks to our temples. And actually, we reach pretty far with our dominion. At least up to the river. Okay. So, the next thing is Bomani's going to pick up this scraggler. Or these scragglers. There we go. And then he's going to return home. And then back home, we're going to look at our recruitment thing. We should have 2 taskmasters. We'll have the 3rd one coming out. And we're still pumping out our slaves. Our slave army. So let's take a look at that. See how well it's coming along. Okay, he's got a full 40 now. That means his army is as big as he can command right now. We're going to set these slave units to attack the closest. Same as before. We want them to get to their line as fast as possible before archers take them out. And Sergeant Tacos, his job is just to sit in the back and not die. And that's exactly what we're going to put him on. We're going to hit Control 1 while highlighting this, and that's just going to save these orders so that I can use it for people like this guy. So if I hit 1, it'll give it to him. Now this guy is our other taskmaster, Artargatis. Nah, we're going to call him Sergeant. Okay, Cream. How about Sergeant Krim? Yeah, I like Krim better than Cream. Sergeant Krim. There he is, and he's waiting for troops, and actually I can give him a couple. So, by the time Bomani gets to our capital, collects these troops, and we get out another thing of troops, we'll have a pretty decent army to continue going on. But that was 2 turns that we've not been acquiring any provinces. It's kind of harsh in the beginning. And there's Hammer and Gojira. They're still doing their thing. Another thing, well, it doesn't matter. This first turn, it's just how it's going to be. We're going to have to waste it. Okay, that was it. We'll end the turn. Okay. Bomani's made it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Bomani's troops and give them to Gojira, our prophet. And all these scragglers who ran off, they're going to go with him. Our prophet gives really good morale bonus, and I want him engaged in combat. Bomani, a little less so. He is good in combat, but I want him to stay home. He's one of the few people that can actually research at the moment, and I want him doing that while our prophet can't do much besides preach. He'd be better off leading these troops for us. So I'm going to take the ones we got from before and throw them in this unit. Still shy of a full unit, but it's decent enough. Same deal here. Attack the closest, and they'll be off to the side of it. And then I'm going to have Tacos just behind his army, and Krim just behind his army. Now Gojira is going to stand right in the middle, and then his unit is going to, okay, they're still attacking closest, that's good. I want them to actually be right in the front, and we're going to actually move this one up top. If anybody's going to take arrows, I want it to be this unit, because they have shields. So that's kind of the reasoning for that. And that means Tacos is going to move up a bit. There we go. Now, Gojira, what does he do? Well, he's got some spells. And his spells are holy spells. One of the good things about having a priest is their spells do not tire them at all. They can cast as much as they want throughout the entire battle, but they're kind of limited on their selection. They've got some pretty good stuff. One is Fanaticism. This prayer, it has the same effect as Sermon of Courage, which is a lower level spell, but what it does is all friendly units on the entire battlefield are going to gain a bonus to morale. So that's a very good spell to start with. Even more morale, less likely that my troops will run away. Divine Blessing is another good one. It doesn't really help us because the only troops that can be blessed are units that are sacred. Now, he is... well, he's not sacred. None of our troops are sacred at the moment. But one thing that I forgot to mention with him is he starts off blessed. Being a prophet, he gets our blessing immediately. He gets the +1 morale, the +2 defense skill, the reinvigoration, which is completely wasted on him. He doesn't need it. And the HP +3, which is a little better for him. But our blessings aren't very good. So whether I want him to actually cast that spell, it doesn't do anything. So although it is an amazing spell, it does nothing for us immediately. So we're just going to have him cast Smite. And this is just a regular attack that hits one enemy, and it's his best defensive spell. So he'll just do a couple smites. In action, I'll just want 3. And after he's casted Fanaticism, Smite, 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 he'll start casting whatever spells he wants to. And this is, I'm only doing 3 because if they were like undead and I had him casting smites, he's got a better spell that he would cast on his own, which is this one, Banishment, which is very good against undead or summoned units. It kills them like a grenade. It's very good. So 3 smites is enough, and then he'll cast what he thinks is best. Okay, and I think that's it for that. So we can take Sergeant Taco, Sergeant Grim, and Prophet Gojira, and we'll move out and take this area. Yeah. Meanwhile, back home, we're starting to get Shaman now. These are going to be researching for us and getting us new magic spells. And we'll continue building up our slave army. Oh, and that means we've gotten our new guy, Sargon. And that's a pretty good name. We'll just give him a rank first. Sergeant Sargon. Sergeant Sargon. There he is, our last taskmaster. He has no units right now, so we'll leave him back home. And Bamani, seeing as he can research, we're going to put him on research and look at that. So these are all the areas we can look in as far as magic: conjuration, alteration, evocation, construction, enchantment, thaumaturgy, and blood magic. We're going to start with alteration. This has a lot of spells that buff people up, and this is the best stuff for Bamani immediately in the game. It can give him things in level 2, such as Quicken Self. It's like he casts haste on himself, gets more attacks. And Stone Skin raises his defense, makes something a lot harder to kill. So I think this is a good spell school to go down first. Okay, other than that, I'll put this on repeat because I want lots of Shaman. Yeah, I probably won't be getting any other units for a while as far as officers go, because we've got about all the officers we need in the early game. And we'll go ahead and end turn. Now, our spy is good to stand right here. The spies do really good in areas that are not well defended. If he went to a castle, it'd be very hard for him to stay in a province like this that has a bunch of patrolling guards and people in it. So it's kind of better for him to stay on the outskirts. Plus, it keeps an eye on just where they're spreading. If they ever spread to this throne, I want to know. And he should be relatively safe here. And did I? Okay, good. Okay, we'll end the turn there. And we'll also end the episode there. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see y'all in the next episode. Later.